Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Patrick here at VectorVest, and today I'm going to be talking about why GameStop may be one of the best long-term opportunities you don't want to miss out on. I'm not going to talk about any of the speculative manipulation in the stock price, nor am I going to be talking about any sort of a squeeze. I'm going to be focusing on the blockchain technology that GameStop has been talking about and give my 2 cents on what I think they may be working on and how this could potentially revolutionize an already extremely fast growing industry, which is the gaming industry. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the bell so that way you can get notified every time we come out with live content pretty much daily. And let's get into it here. All right, so let's start off here. This is the nft.gamestop.com website. This came out roughly, I believe it was May 26th or so almost about 2 months ago. And as it states, it says power to the players, power to the creators, power to the collectors. There's been a lot of speculation about what GameStop is planning on doing with this and what exactly it means. Well, from this site as well, if we scroll up, we get back to the top, we can see that it has the Ethereum symbol here showing that it's going to be an Ethereum blockchain. And I'm not going to get into the whole blockchain, what is blockchain, all that, because to be honest, I'm not very familiar with the blockchain system and exactly how all that works. But I'll leave that kind of topic to our crypto connoisseur, Jason. All right, so getting back into it. We all know this is coming out. We've had a lot of speculation once again. But I started thinking about it the last few days, and I really wanted to know what exactly it is that GameStop was planning on doing. So I did some digging. Turns out, blockchain gaming has been out for roughly 6 years ever since the launch of Ethereum. And as we dive into the article, we can see some of the things they've been talking about, that blockchain and gaming are two separate things that could be great when they combine with one another. One of the big selling points of blockchain gaming is that it could get rid of all the issues that have been plaguing the gaming industry for quite a while. Utilizing the blockchain technology, you could now actually give more power to the players, as we saw just a second ago, in the sense that you can offer NFTs or non-fungible tokens. Basically, it ensures that what you have in-game is an actual item and that you actually own it, instead of just having it owned by the game developers themselves. So this kind of helps with the idea of being scammed for people trying to sell their accounts or trying to sell items in game. One of the other interesting aspects of blockchain gaming is that you can take an item you've got in one game and actually be able to use it in a separate game. So very, very cool for the gamers out there, for gaming industry as a whole. Something unique and different, and once again, could be revolutionary to the gaming industry. But as we scroll down in the article, some of the key issues that have still been plaguing the blockchain gaming is that it is extremely expensive to be able to do these transactions and build these games online. And as we can see here, that's why blockchain gaming or blockchain-based gaming still hasn't taken off in any meaningful sense. In fact, Ethereum's success is pushing away the games that originally chose to set up on their platforms, and they're actually choosing to use different platforms because, well, as we can see here, one of the big issues is cost of entry. Also, as we can see here, Chinese walls. What this is talking about is that a lot of the big game developers out there are very hesitant to allow people to mod their software, mod their games, or develop more in their own sense of what they want from the game. And so they've been cracking down on those things a lot. And they don't want anybody else touching their game. They want full control. Well, blockchain can offer the ability for smaller developers or even bigger developers to be able to work more of an open source rather than all locked up and keeping everything private. This is absolutely massive, not only for the bigger developers, but mainly for the more indie developers and the smaller game developers, because it allows them to work with one another and it allows them a way to have easier access into the gaming industry and get their games out there to make more people aware of their games. So Those are some of the big issues that we've noticed with blockchain gaming, which is why nobody's been talking about it and why, in all reality, it hasn't taken off in the last 6 years. Well, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit more here. If we take a look at the Ethereum 2.0, so for anybody familiar with it and looking at the GameStop crypto or GameStop NFT website, there was a nod to the July 14th date, and turns out that was actually the expected release date of Ethereum 2.0. What is Ethereum 2.0? Well, from a simplistic standpoint, it's an upgrade to their current blockchain, and basically it's allowing people to have more security by adding new filters in there to protect people from different hacks and different types of attacks that could potentially disrupt the blockchain. Also, more scalability, as you can see here. It allows more transactions and a cheaper transaction cost, which has been one of the biggest issues around blockchain gaming. And also more sustainability in a sense that it's going to have less environmental impact from running all the machines and computing power and all that. So basically, Ethereum 2.0 corrected all the issues that have been plaguing the blockchain gaming industry. Well, now you've got a big company like GameStop wanting to put a lot of resources into it. They've got $2 billion in cash to help grow this industry. If they can centralize it and really help develop it and bring it mainstream, this could be absolutely revolutionary for the company. Now all of a sudden, all these different game producers can utilize that single blockchain and be able to have different in-game items that can be transferred from one game to the next, that can be sold back and forth. And this also helps remove some of the middleman in the gaming industry. What I mean by that is currently in the current system that we have, especially with gacha games or different types of games that you buy loot boxes from or items from, once you buy those items, they're in your account. The game developer still owns them. And in between that transaction, if it's a mobile game, well, roughly 30% goes to the platform or the app store that you purchased it from. And then you have different licensing agreements that could come in the way. So by the time that you make a transaction as an individual, and by the time the studio gets that transaction, they're getting a lot less money. So this would basically cut that middleman out and allow players to have more say in what they want to do with their in-game items because they would actually own them as an asset utilizing NFTs. But also the developer themselves would capture a lot more of that gain because it would go directly to them, skipping a lot of the middleman process and allowing them more money to put back into their game to develop it and create the content that keeps users engaged. Also, the cool thing about this, not only can the player have the ability to sell an item and make money off of it, but with the way Ethereum is set up, from my basic understanding of it so far, if they have a tax on it, let's say a 10% tax, and you sold an item to somebody for $100, well, 10% tax goes directly to the game developer. So even after they've created the item, they've sold the game, they can still generate some revenue off of the transactions between the different players selling them. So if you sold that game for $100, well, the game developer just got $10 off of the tax. So this allows more money to go directly to the developer to keep bringing new content, engaging content, and keep people interested in their game. As a gamer, this is absolutely huge because nowadays with the gaming industry, a lot of people get bored of a certain game and start to move on to other games because they feel like there's not much to look forward to in the future, or there's only a once a month update and it's not even a big update. Well, if these game developers have more cash available to hire the right people to develop things properly and develop them faster, that can keep their user base engaged even more, which will allow the gaming industry to thrive more so than it already has. And speaking of the gaming industry thriving, let's take a look just at some basic numbers that I was able to find just recently. So here we can see the video game industry is now estimated to be worth almost $160 billion in 2020 alone, which is an increase of 9.3% from 2019. Also, the current forecast estimates the video game industry to be worth almost $270 billion by 2025. That's 3.5 years away. That is absolutely massive. And that's just on the current projections. If GameStop has figured out a way of bringing blockchain gaming to the mainstream and make it easier and more accessible to players, this forecast could be coming in way under actual values in that time. So this is why when Roaring Kitty came out with his original GameStop thesis and said, if GameStop can take at least 2% of the gaming industry, based off of that $268 billion forecast by 2025, that equates to roughly $5 billion just for GameStop alone. 2%, that's very, very small. And this is why I believe GameStop could be an absolute massive opportunity for a long-term holding. Without any sort of a squeeze, without any sort of stock manipulation, this is what Roaring Kitty was talking about in his original thesis, and seeing it now, it's all starting to come together. And finally, the last point I want to bring up here is talking about what this could mean going back to the indie developers or the smaller developers. Well, if GameStop is able to create one large blockchain that all these different developers are able to access, if you gain an item in one, you could use it in another game that utilizes that same blockchain. How cool would that be? Not only do you own the item that you could just go sell if you wanted to, but you could also use that one item you found in one game in a completely different game. This could potentially give the smaller developers an absolutely massive advantage against some of the bigger developers that are typically going to adopt this kind of technology slower. So therefore, this could absolutely disrupt the gaming industry as we know it and completely revolutionize it going forward. So if you've enjoyed today's video, once again, smash that like button, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on this industry, or if you've ever even heard of blockchain gaming and what you think blockchain gaming could be going forward. Do you think it could be a revolutionary new version of gaming that nobody has ever seen before? Or do you think it's going to continue to be flying under the radar just like it has for the past 6 years? Let me know down below, and until next time, take care, adios, toodles.